Hello and welcome to Business 24 on iBrandTV. I'm Michael Nath, your host on the show. Now, before we go ahead, let's take this business tip and we go on a break and come back for the topic proper. It's still Business 24 here on iBrandTV Lagos. On Saturday, June 5, 2021, the federal government of Nigeria officially put an indefinite ban on the global microblogging platform Twitter after the social media platform deleted tweets made by Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari. Now, the Nigerian government claimed that the deletion of the president's tweets factored into their decision, but it was ultimately based on a litany of problems with the social media platform in Nigeria, where misinformation and fake news spread through it have had real-world violent consequences. Now, the ban was condemned by Amnesty International, as well as the British and Canadian missions and the Swedish embassy in Nigeria. Two domestic organizations, the Socio-Economic and Rights and Accountability Project (SERAP) and the Nigerian Bar Association, have indicated the intent to challenge the ban in court. Twitter itself called the ban deeply concerning. However, former U.S. President Donald Trump praised the censorship. Congratulations to Nigeria, who just banned the Twitter. He said it will be recorded that Twitter banned President Trump while in office. Meanwhile, there have been a lot of claims that Nigeria is losing money owing to the ban. There's even a report online that put a figure to it at 24.72 billion naira. Now, to look at these issues for us, renowned economists in the person of Gospel Obele. Obele is very much around here. Hello, Gospel. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Good afternoon.
You're welcome. Now, let's raise the curtain this way. Was the suspension of Twitter operation in Nigeria a wise decision by the federal government?
Even the layman knows that it wasn't a wise or the best of decisions by the government of the day, and that's primarily because it was literally seemed like a personal decision that spilled into the overall economic management, and which didn't sound well in terms of national brand building, which didn't sound well in terms of investor confidence, which doesn't still sound well, for the current state of the economy right now. So it's just you trying to ensure that within the context of the job you're operating in, you do not extend your personal affiliations or use that as a basis to make decisions for the wider context. So technically it wasn't the best of decisions, because the economy is literally set to experience some more heat and to suffer for that single decision in the midterm.
Now, you mentioned the economy. Definitely, we're going to come back to that to talk some more on it. In the meantime, what would have the federal government done better with regard to the action already taken?
I think the decisions on what, or the idea around what should have been done better, would be to probably take it up with the platform authorities or the platform representatives, and settle their scores on that level, then extend it on a level that is way beyond just the individual or the government. The economy, in the sense, works beyond just one person and just beyond the government. There are many other factors, agents, and institutions that make the economy what it is. So yes, probably taking it up personal on the level of engagement with the platform holders would have been probably a better option or a better position to take.
And what do you have to say about those who are congratulating the federal government for the action taken? Mention people like former U.S. President Donald Trump, who who congratulated Nigeria for placing this ban on Twitter.
Quite honest, I think at this now, the reasons why these institutions or individuals chose to extend their congratulatory reasons. But as an economist, I would always speak properly from an economic perspective. You know, a lot of the things are probably going on the level of personal notes, and extending that to the overall economy, you know, are deeply more personal than, you know, what it looks like on the outside, on the surface level. So we want to stick to what's more important in terms of the impact on the average Nigerian, on businesses, all right, on national brand building, all right, on the reputation of the country, and in restoring investor confidence back to the economy.
Nigeria has, as a sovereign country, has the right to do what it did, and the federal government is not shifting ground. Are you saying what they are doing is wrong? You mean there is no justification for that action?
Oh, well, like I said before, that there are way more implications to this than just the government. If you look at the spread of how the economies work, there are different levels of economic agents. There's a private sector, there are individuals, there are households, there are consumers. Then you talk about the government. All right, the government is just one institution out of a pool of institutions that represent different economic agents who benefit directly or indirectly on how the system runs or performs at a particular period of time. Right. So the government making a sole decision that would adversely impact on the lives and engagement of other economic agents without due consideration, of course, doesn't sit well with the overall progress, agenda, of the economy as a whole. So yes, on the baseline, from an economic perspective, it wasn't the best of decisions.
All right, now, a lot of businesses that happen online were affected by this suspension. What has been their fate all this while?
Yes, it's kind of unfortunate that whatever major decisions are taken on a national level hit directly on either businesses or the final consumer. The Nigerian economy already finds itself in a web of different cost pressure. Looking at it from electricity tariffs to pump price to poor economic management to outright banning of things, to inflation, and all of these dynamics already put those other economic agents now, meaning SMEs and individuals, all right, under an intense cost pressure. All right. So what it means that at that level, the government should be seeking to ease that process and create an enabling environment. And part of creating an enabling environment is to ensure that individuals and businesses have access to tools that they should use to facilitate, all right, the business that they run, either at a small level or a mid-level or a large-scale level. And one of those tools is the digital platform. And on the digital platform, you want to think of Twitter. All right. So yes, an outright ban of that platform directly impacts heavily on SMEs. I mean, the data states that we lose on the average about $2 billion, converted $6 million on daily, all right, to that platform, all right, by not being actively playing on that platform and all that as a result of the ban. So yes, it affects businesses because they cannot carry out their promotions, their campaigns, their engagements, sales, and all of these things on that platform. And it's sort of a platform that bridges the gap between Facebook and other business-related platforms, and it's a huge loss for the Nigerian economy.
What other ways can the federal government help to cushion the effect of this ban on those whose businesses operate on this platform, on the Twitter?
The only way to cushion the effect on SMEs and businesses in this context would just be to lift the ban. All right, simple as that. Lift the ban. When you lift the ban, and of course, reorientate its institution as a political economy, that whatsoever engagements are being, whatsoever events are being experienced by an individual in the political economy should be taken on that individual level and shouldn't be spilled off, all right, on other economic agents or the economy as a whole. The economy is already suffering from so much when it comes to the coronavirus, the NSAS protest, the lack of clear clear-cut policy direction. All of these dynamics have put businesses at a place where there's a lot of uncertainty, and it requires a lot of intelligence to engage and come out. And come out of the quagmire we find ourselves in. Secondly, economic recovery has been slow, and even slower than it was in 2016, during the 2016-2017 recession. All right, so it means that the economy is such that the recovery is slow, and at the same time, it also should be cautioned. Cautioned because we are at the verge of getting to under recession if we do not properly manage for recovery. And in properly managing for recovery, stimulus and other policy packages or policy support initiatives should be deployed strategically, and as well, strengthening enablers to help these economic agents like SMEs bounce back, and from that point we begin to see recovery. But when you begin to hijack the conditions that enable for economic bounce back, for economic recovery, for business engagement, business activities and all that, then it would mean that you're reducing the potential or the pace or the possibility of that economy recovering in good time. All right, so the government just how to outrightly lift off that ban, the way they outrightly shut the platform. All right, lift up the ban and rework its political ideology to understand that whatever happens, for instance, the president who sent a congratulatory message, all right, did not shut down that platform in his country. All right, so these are things with it, and this also speaks to the nature of regulatory and institutional framework and the weak checks and balances that happen amongst the three tiers of government. It means that one tier of government can just wake up and take a drastic decision that would likely collapse the economy. All right, in an institution or a country where you have strong institutions and strong checks and balances, that would have been the case. And that was the reality for the president who was sending congratulating men happen in this country because checks and balances are informed. All right, now we do not have that here, and then executive decisions are spilling off, in a very, very poor economic manner, in a very, very poor, insensitive manner when it comes to the impact on the economy. So my simple answer to that is lift the ban. Lift the ban. That's my simple answer to that. Just lift the ban.
Okay, now that you are beginning to talk about the possibility of lifting the ban, we all know that well-meaning Nigerians and groups have been calling on the federal government to unban the censorship of Twitter. Do you see the federal government shifting ground?
Quite honestly, it looks as though they're not ready to take any action on that. Technically, we can only hope that with the losses and the impact on the Nigerian economy and economic agents, particularly SMEs, in this midterm, there will be a reconsideration to lift that ban. Lifting the ban will be the best option at the end of the day for the government, because the government has to also face the hard work of dealing out of emotions, or dealing, when it comes to political economy, political agenda at that level of personal engagement, and not bringing it down to the economy. So we expect that the ban will be lifted, maybe with some other stronger criteria or restrictions as well, but it will be safer and saner for the economy for that ban to be lifted, especially in the midterm.
How soon do you think this is likely to happen?
Honestly, I can't make any intelligent projections now.
I mean, from the body language, from the body language of the government, that is.
From the language of the government, from the language of the government shows that they're not willing to lift it. So we are saying that it makes sense to lift it on the worst case scenario in the short term, but let's say they can't do it in the short term, at least in the midterm, because if it stays for too long, yes, there are other social media platforms and all that where they can do what they want to do, but there are more, how will I put it, perception, or there are more messages that are sent across with the government's refusal to lift that ban. All right, so there are investor confidence in the pipeline. There's also a perception that the political economy of the day does not want to empower the rights and voices of its citizens. So there are a lot more dynamics to the story than just the ban. All right, there's a perception that you can't deal with insecurity, yet you have so much energy, or shut down the Twitter platform and literally shut down the economy from that angle. All right, so there's a whole lot more going on outside just a quote the Twitter ban. So it will make sense to relieve or to leave that ban, at least worst case scenario in the midterm, so that the economy, when it comes to other perspectives or other buckets of issues, can begin to see it correctly for what it is. So I would say worst case, within the next 6 months, we should expect to see a lift of that ban. If it doesn't happen in the next 6 months, then it's really, really a bad positioning for national brand building and investor confidence.
All right. Obele, we're still talking on the suspension of the Twitter operation in Nigeria by the federal government and the consequences so far. I'll get back to you for more talk on this very, very crucial issue. At this juncture, let's take a break. We'll be right back. You're still watching Business 24 here on iBrandTV Lagos, and we are discussing the federal government's suspension of Twitter operation in Nigeria and its possible effects on the economy and individuals who are doing business online. And I have with me here from the beginning of the show, who's also very much around, positive or 100% negative. There is a bit of this and a bit of that. But what we might end up saying is which one outweighs the other. Now, let's talk about the possible good sides of this very government, federal government's action, that is banning of the Twitter operation in Nigeria.
All right, so in terms of what the good side is or what the good side should be, that conversation is very relative because the approach or the premise upon which the ban happened in the first place, all right, has literally shaped the direction of that conversation. So it looks more negative because of the grounds on which the ban happened in the first place. So some persons may want to say that the Twitter ban would help us recalibrate and rethink our approach to use and consumption of social media platforms. And talking about the kind of speeches and the content and those things that have been happening on the platform that are seemingly not enabling in terms of mental health and the likes. So yes, that conversation is there and it's a valid conversation. But right now, we would count that as a positive if the government were to have come out to put out a communication to say that A, B, C, and D are the reasons why we thought to ban this outside the major premise upon which the ban happened in the first place. All right. So that communication is not in view. All right. That's a potential positive impact, but it is not in view. But even at the state of that reason, in the sense, it's still not a sufficient it still doesn't beat, it may beat it at a necessary condition level, it still doesn't beat it at a sufficient condition level. Because at the end of the day, for the greater good of empowering citizen voices, or for the greater good of human rights and all of that, you literally have shut down, all right, a platform through which people express their public opinions. So the big question should have been this: is there a way we could have sent the message across without having to do or engage an outright ban? Is there a way the message or the reason, the good reason or the positive impact that I talked about in quotes initially, is there a way that could have been sent across? And is there a way all the impact of mental health, the poor, wrong acquisition, the dragging here and there, is there a way to curtail all of that? All right, in terms of activities on that platform now, leading to those things, is there a way to curtail all of that? All right, and empower more healthy languages, use of Twitter correctly, all right, for the purpose why it should be used for. Like you mentioned, as a positive side, but in dealing with positives and negatives in the world we live in, nothing is black and white, or nothing is black or white. There are many inconsistencies in the middle that makes conversations and issues complex than ever before. So in terms of those complexities now, I think the government could have, probably not banned Twitter, all right, number one. Secondly, not even have banned Twitter on the grounds or premise upon which it did, all right, but rather sought to solve the issue of mental health, language, engagement, dragging, and all of that, so that way you still protect the economics of Twitter in terms of how much value is added back to the Nigerian economy. So it should have been probably properly handled, but that's a flaw that government of the day consistently across different administrations, they've not been able to correctly handle. That's public relations, foreign policy, handling issues and conversations correctly before they get to a point. It's the same thing with the CBN. CBN actually banned cryptocurrency. We woke up one morning and they actually banned rice importation. We woke up one morning and they actually restricted items that can access foreign exchange and all that. So it's always been an outright ban all the way. So we are saying, are there more intelligent ways through which things can be dealt with so that we still protect the economics of those things and the value they create for the Nigerian economy, rather than shutting everything out completely and the economy as a whole is worse off for it? That's the big question.
Yes, you've been talking about economy. Let's talk about it right now. Twitter ban in Nigeria affected the economy. There is no doubt about it. Can you estimate how much the federal government could have lost by this ban?
Oh, well, first of all, the baseline information we know for a fact is that at least 2 billion naira is lost on a daily basis as a result of
daily basis.
And yes, at least 2 billion naira. If you triple that to the dollar amount, it's almost $6 million. And then when you now look at it from an angle of a failing currency, all right, the value in dollars or the value in naira begins to go higher and all of that and all of that. So what it means is that proper initiatives could have been put in place to manage those excesses. We're not so much of a people or a nation that have effectively dealt with the excesses of things, all right, especially when it comes to how those excesses will come back to haunt us. The Nigerian economy is complex in its design and growing further complex as globalization happens. And this simply means that one policy cannot be a one-fit solution to every issue you have on board. So meaning an outright ban cannot be the only option. In fact, it shouldn't even be on the table of options, all right? We will require a mix of intelligently designed options, all right, strategically deployed across the different facets of the problems. Now, I said different facets of the problem because these problems exist in different ways, all right? And the complexity of the Nigerian economy makes it further difficult to find solutions to problems. So look for different pockets of solutions, intelligent solutions that can be used to deal with the problem in different sects, while you're also protecting the ideal positive advantages of that issue or that problem you're seeking to solve, in the sense. For instance, now, how could we have dealt with the Twitter problem outside an outright shutdown or an outright ban? All right, knowing fully well that it contributes at least 2 billion to the Nigerian economy on a daily basis. So that's a big question that requires a lot of public leadership skills, all right, in terms of when you fine-tune public leadership skills with economics. Inability to do that is what some high-level authors in the MIT have called poor economics, because the economy begins to suffer as a result of its complexity and poor public leadership skills in managing those complexities.
In one word or a sentence, what is your advice to the victims of this ban?
My only advice to the victims of this challenge will be to think of other creative options. There are other platforms that can be used to deploy or to do business. But in even deploying those other platforms, know fully well that if the federal government can wake up one morning and ban Twitter, it means they can wake up one morning and ban anything else. So you need to have a plan B and a plan C. All right, that's one thing. And secondly, businesses need to technically evaluate the cost and benefits of the decision.
Thank you so very much, Gospel Obele. And I really enjoyed talking with you. And I want to believe that the reverse can't be the case for the viewer out there. Thank you so very much. And that's been the way we had it today. Okay, that's been the way we had it today on Business 24 here on iBrandTV. It's been my pleasure playing hosts on the show. Hope to come your way again to do more next time. Thank you so much. I'm Michael Nath.